Well, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and get started. Um, I really don't have any big things on the agenda here this evening. I was going to see if anybody had any exhibitions or shows that they wanted to mention.
I was actually curious about like how exactly do you get like a gallery or like an exhibition? Um,
Depends on the venue. A lot of them put out an invitation. Just hey, get a hold of us and they have a form you can fill out and submit. For approval. They're pretty easy to get into. Is You just basically need to know who's putting it on or who's sponsoring it. Um, I haven't done any shows for a couple of years because last time the last shows I did, boy, they get hectic. They'll get you busy. Um, but there's a lot of places also where you can do a private show. I used to do them out at the Wyandotte County Library, a couple of their locations years
uh-huh.
ago, and that's a matter of just getting a hold of the arts and humanities people out there at the libraries. Um, I know Kansas City, Missouri, they have a few places that will do that. Also, there's the First Fridays.
Mhm.
Uh, they're always asking for people to submit things.
Crossroads.
Uh, yeah, and
And
that's
and
what I
and
gather. That's a really good venue to get into.
does it cost money or is it free? Or is there like a
Sometimes there's an
membership?
entry fee. Depends on who's doing it. Most of the cost you're going to find out is going to be getting everything framed and ready to hang.
Oh, okay.
That's where your costs are going to come in. Yeah, I had one time I had over 300 frames here packed away in boxes. I would use at different times, and when I decided, okay, I've done my last show for I don't know how long, I got rid of all the frames. I hauled them out of here, got rid of them. But that's your biggest cost is getting your prints made and getting them framed and getting them ready to display. Oh yeah, there's venues all around town. There's several. What's the name of that? Anybody remember the name of that church over there in Prairie Village that Raymond displays at every once in a while? It's over on Knoll, about 80 something Knoll. It's a
The
I was
Anglican,
just
thing.
is that the Anglican church?
Yeah.
St. Michael's, I think.
Okay. But they have a really nice gallery because I went to a couple of his shows over there in the past, and they had a lot bigger gallery than I thought. Uh, but yeah, there are venues all around that basically. I tell you what, your best bet is go out and start prodding some folks. You can try the arts people with different local governments because they will often put these on. I think that fact, the last show I put on was out in Leawood when I was working out there. I put a small show on out there, and it didn't cost me anything other than getting my stuff ready to hang. And
Mhm.
actually, they hung it for me. They put the prints on. I thought, hey, this is great.
Oh wow.
you know, because
Nice
they
thing
just
is
they
if you
did.
can get in, if you can get into like the Crossroads or something like that,
Yeah.
they set you can put a price on your art, they can
Oh
sell
yeah.
it for commission.
Oh,
So
Sure.
you might make money on it. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah. Because even at the libraries, you can put a price on it. Now, I've never sold anything out of the libraries. I don't think any of us have when we've done exhibits out there. But yeah, the First Fridays I know, and also like you was talking about, yeah, that's all. That's a great place to start and get a little name recognition where people say, hey, well, yeah, I know this guy. So you might find out you get people calling you up out of the blue.
yeah. That that that
Uh,
that is my goal.
Yeah.
there's a coffee shop in downtown Overland Park that displays photographs. You might talk to them. I can't remember the name of the shop though.
Is that Homer's?
Yeah, Homer's.
Okay. Jim Mathis is a part owner of that or
No, he
involved
was.
with that?
He
Yeah.
started it. He sold it.
Okay. He sold. Okay. And also, I know out in Lawrence, the oh, good heavens, I'm trying to remember the name. We've eaten out there. I don't know how many times it's been a while since we've been out there, but there's a kitchen out there, Ninth and on Ninth and Vermont or something like that, where they have local artists come out and put their stuff up in the dining area,
Uh-huh.
and it's all for sale. Now for the life of me, I can't think of the name of that restaurant, but it's actually based around their big wood fired oven where they bake bread. But they sell sandwiches, and they have breakfast, lunch, and dinner out there. But they have quite a few artists out there that put their stuff up on a regular basis. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, let's get going. So really don't have any hard announcements, and wish you luck with finding somebody to put your work out there for you, Spencer, so you can get a little recognition out there, because
Yes.
there's a lot of places that will put your work up for you.
Thank you, Calvin.
Yeah, I strongly encourage you, because I mean, it'll only broaden your horizon a little bit. I've done it in the past, and I'm getting lazy in my retirement age. I'm kind of getting back doing nothing. Well, like I told them, working on my spirits tonight. So I'll have my Crown Royal cocktails this evening. Anyway, Mr. Schaff, do you have anything you need to add?
No. Everybody has paid their dues, so we've got that all squared.
Right. Okay. How about you, Tom? You doing good?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Travis?
The only thing I need to tell you is I have been behind on getting all the videos from all the club meetings up on YouTube. I finally got them all downloaded and uploaded to YouTube. I just got to get them trimmed down, and because I like to usually edit out the before the meeting stuff that we do. I'll get that edited out and hopefully get that out here soon.
Good.
All righty. So glad to hear everybody's got their dues paid up so far. Let's see. All right, yeah. So that's really all I had on my agenda's really short tonight, Tom. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go ahead and turn the meeting over to our judge, Mike Wunsch. If you want, Mike, just tell us a little bit about yourself again, and then you can go in and you can do the open or the assign, whichever one you want to do first.
Okay.
However you want to do it. And then before you go to the next category, just let us know which ones are going to place first, second, or third.
Okay, sounds good. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, guys. I appreciate it. And I think a couple different faces from the last time I was here, but to give you a little background about myself. So I'm a partner and a co-founder of a production company called Outpost Worldwide. And Outpost is a video production company. Of course, today the lines between photography and video are very thin. It's very, very similar technology these days. It's all digital-based technology. The same disciplines, the same techniques, the same aesthetics play into video production as they do into photography. Then you just have the added challenge of audio and moving picture and a few things to take care of. So it's a lot of fun, though. Throughout my career, I've been involved in photography quite a bit. And again, for example, the person you hire to be the lead camera operator on a big job in a video production job is called the DP, which is Director of Photography. So you hire a DP who is in charge of taking the idea and getting it on, of working with a director and physically executing the desired effects that you're trying to go for. Give you an idea, recently, within the last couple of years, about a year ago, we did commercials for O'Reilly Auto Parts. And to put it in perspective, oh gosh, what was there? Well over a couple months of pre-pro planning. And then there was literally, excuse me real quick. And then literally 8 days of shooting to come away with 60 seconds of footage. So 8 days of shooting, and we shot in Texas, we shot in Tennessee. And you think, now, why would it take 8 days to shoot 60 seconds worth of material? To give you an example of the kind of images that we had to capture, one of the images was a semi-truck driving across a bridge over the Mississippi River. Well, obviously, first of all, the only way you're going to get that's either a drone or a helicopter. And of course, these days it's a drone. Used to be a helicopter. You literally risk your life to go get the shot in a helicopter. Now you just use a drone. But in order to fly that drone by an interstate and fly it across the Missouri River, it's Mississippi River, we had to go through various permits. We had to get all kinds of permits from the Department of Transportation and the FAA. And the point being is to get that little, what turned out to be maybe 2 seconds. It took several days of business preparation to make that happen. So it's kind of fun piece. If you want to see the work we do, our website is outpostworldwide.com, outpostworldwide.com. The worldwide is legit. I personally have worked on 6 continents, have filmed or worked on some sort of video production project, literally on every continent except Antarctica. It's been a fun run. To keep this focused on, and then we'll jump into judging here in a minute, I wanted to tell a little backstory that's, of course, these days, everything's shot on digital cameras, but in the beginning of my career, I started my career in the mid 80s. And early on, and for quite a few years, if you were going to shoot really high-end commercials, you'd shoot on 35 millimeter. You'd shoot on film. And you would shoot film negative is what you would shoot. And it was a big process to put that all together, and it's kind of interesting, give you an idea. So if you shot film in Kansas City, there was nowhere in Kansas City to then transfer that film to videotape. So you had to literally get on a plane, fly to another city to do what was called a color session, a film grading session, where you would adjust the color and the look of the film, and then they would transfer it to video, and we'd bring the video back to Kansas City so that we could edit the national spot together. We did a bunch of work over the years for Jiffy Lube International, and we'd shoot all over the United States for them. And I mean, just to put it in perspective, I mean, to shoot a commercial on film like that back in late 80s, early 90s, it was not unusual to spend $100,000 for a 30-second spot. That was pretty common. And that, honestly, 100,000, even on today's standards, that's small potatoes compared to when you see these commercials on TV for Nike or Budweiser, whoever it happens to be. Many times they're spending $1 million to shoot a single 30-second spot. And so a funny little story that you don't want to have happen twice is, so we had this big setup for Jiffy Lube, and we're getting this beautiful building shot of the Jiffy Lube in Springfield, Missouri, and we've sprayed down. We literally hired the fire department to bring a fire truck and spray down the parking lot, and we sprayed everything down so that the asphalt was glistening and it looked absolutely beautiful, and shot this fantastic scene on 35 millimeter and hop on a plane, fly to Chicago, get into the colorizing session and pop the film up on the reels and take a look at the film. And it looks like footage from Mars. The footage is all red and nasty and wobbly. It's not it's just a mess, an absolute mess. And I asked the guy, I said, what the heck? What is this? What happened? And he said, well, it looks like your DP, your director of photography, loaded the film in backwards. So you shot through the wrong side of the film. And I said, oh my God. And he proceeded to tell me, he said, you don't know the rule, do you? I said, no, what's the rule? He says, you ask a DP, have you ever loaded the film in backwards? And if their answer is no, you don't hire them. Everybody does it one time. And so unfortunately, our one time, and I'm not exaggerating, our one time cost us about $25,000 to correct it. I was not the DP, I was the producer director, But so it's my ultimate responsibility, of course, to make this right. So we literally, you know, to keep our client and keep everybody happy, we had to go back on location and get the fire department out again and do the whole thing again. And man, I'll tell you again, certain things in life, they'll happen once and you won't let it happen again. That's for sure. So
Yeah.
I guess the upside is kind of like today, if you said I erased my files, you know, that would be the equivalent today as the nightmare in the production business now is you reformatted your drive, but you didn't save your stuff. So obviously attention to detail is huge. Got to be super careful, but no, it's an amazing career. And just the whole thing of photography, it touches, if you think about it, it touches everything in our lives, from product packaging to signage to communications to television, just all kinds of things. We're just surrounded by imagery. We really take it for granted. We don't even think about it, how much imagery we're touched by on a daily basis. A couple other things, and then we'll jump into the judging. Is we use a lot of the same technology and the same stuff that you guys probably use. We use Photoshop, and we use the Adobe platforms. Adobe makes a very good editing system called Premiere. And then they make an amazing compositing system called After Effects. And I think Travis has dabbled in a few of these things over the years, but there's just amazing software out there. And I'll tell you, you master those softwares, and there's jobs to be had for sure. It's definitely a robust.
What's like the biggest like learning curve going from like photos to video?
That's a very good question. Again, the aesthetics are the same, composition is the same, etc. I would say the big difference is the added technical challenges that you got to keep an eye on. Again, you're working with moving pictures, and again, we could take 2 hours talking about that. Making sure you have the right frame rates and the right codec and the right, there's a lot of technical details involved with video production. And then the biggie too, of course, is audio. Our favorite saying, and it's the truth, is the best way to screw up a video is to have poor audio. People can tolerate a poor picture, but they can't tolerate poor audio. If you have poor audio, you kind of messed it up. But
so would you recommend just like a basic, like inexpensive mic, or would it be like a lavalier or like a shotgun?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the mistake most people make is they're trying to record audio and they're keeping the microphones, 12 feet away from the subject. So yes, putting a lavalier on a subject is super helpful. And I'm sorry, your name, Spencer.
Yes.
Yeah, feel free to call me, Spencer, if you want to learn more about it. If you ever want to visit our company, that's an open invitation to anybody to come visit Outpost. And Calvin's got my email stuff, so feel free to share it, Calvin, and phone number or email with anybody in the club. We'll jump into the judging. And first of all, I found the challenge for this month is I thought it was really cool. So it's patterns and repetitive shapes, correct? I mean, it's based on, Calvin, can you give me a little background? What was the main thing everybody's supposed to try to make happen?
We're trying to capture repetitive patterns within the frame. It didn't matter if they were natural, if they were man-made, but we want to see repetitive patterns.
Gotcha.
So that's it in a nutshell.
I thought there were some really good ones. And Travis, if you want to share my screen, and what I'd like to do for the people that are here, I'd like to have them talk a little bit about their photo. So we'll just start at the top, no specific order.
You'll have to click the share screen button.
I got ahead of myself. Let me get back there. Give me 1 second. Let's see. I got my stuff in front of my screen here. There we go. Share screen. And share. Do you see me now?
Yep.
See your screen.
All righty. Why is it putting that in front of? Yeah, the biggest challenge is learning all the new online stuff that you got to deal with. Okay, so here we go. So who is this? Is this your photo, Spencer?
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool.
Actually for both of these, they're both song names. So
They're song names.
yeah, Freebird, like Leonard Skinner.
Oh yeah. So give us a little background about your photo and what inspired it.
So I was just walking around, and there are just birds everywhere, and because I live in the West Bottoms, and
Mhm.
and then I just like look up and just snap some pictures of some birds. So
Cool. They look like they're quite large birds too, from looking at it.
yeah, I think they're pigeons. They're just
Like,
everywhere.
okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, no, it's definitely interesting. And obviously in this case, was it kind of just a spontaneous thing? You didn't have
Yeah,
anything
spontaneous. Yeah.
spontaneous shot? Well, the thing I find interesting about is definitely there's obviously you're using a very the background of the sky is almost like a photo backdrop. It's just a consistent background. And then all those birds are very similar in shape. It's interesting too. Of course, they're all flying in the same direction. But no, I could see how you could explore on that same concept and capture all kinds of things. It's very cool. In fact, yeah, it's the skies. I think we have a big advantage here in the Midwest is we tend to have amazing skies. That's for sure. Is James Schultz here today?
No, he's not in, he's not here this evening.
Okay. I'll just jump in since he's not. You still see my screen all right?
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Okay, let me go to full screen. There we go. I thought this photo, based on what the challenge is, I thought this photo really speaks to the challenge.
Yeah.
The fact that two things it's interesting is that I think what makes this photo work is the fact that the patterns they're literally edge to edge. Obviously Mother Nature made this pattern, but then a person captured that with a camera. And I think what makes it look very interesting is just sort of, it's truly just a pattern, a flat pattern created by, all these leaves. And it wouldn't be the same if it didn't go off the edges. I think what makes it really interesting is it's like a quilt, just the entire thing is one big image of shapes. And I thought that it really spoke to the challenge that you guys are doing. Let's see our next one here. And is this person here today, Staudenmeyer?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, hi, how are you?
Okay. Well, I was walking around downtown Overland Park, and some of the older areas buildings, they used to have, I don't know, like a walkway or a separation between the buildings. And this is one of the few that's left down there. And I just thought it was interesting with the brick patterns, and they'd had a little bit of rain that day. So.
Yeah, exactly. Just like us spraying down the Jiffy Lube lot, it makes for a more interesting, for nice reflections and nice patterns. I really like this photo for a couple different reasons. Number one, I love the perspective of it, disappearing into an obvious vanishing point, and obviously repetitive patterns of brick, and then the concrete has such an interesting look to it. Again, I think that's probably because it's wet, that it just has a very, you almost don't know what you're looking at first. It could be ice or, it's so hard to say just looking at it, but it's a nicely executed photograph. And if anybody wants to pitch in on one of these two, please do. And then here we go. Give me just a second. And this is Dennis. Is Dennis here?
No, he's working.
in the streets? He's not here? Okay.
No.
Well, I'm gonna brag about his photo. So this photo really attracted my attention, and I think it's because, gosh, it's a combination of things. He definitely had a good eye to capture what is a pretty complex image. You know, it's what's neat about it is you keep looking at it because there's so much going on. You're not really sure, you know, there's a lot going on, but yet it's pleasing to look at. I don't think it's too busy or whatever. So what I find fascinating, and I'd love to talk to the photographers, you get this dry brick then going into a puddle, and then within that puddle, the brick pattern becomes secondary because it's overpowered by reflections of other patterns. And so you just get this wild mosaic of patterns going on. And it just seems really well executed. It's just a very interesting image. And
I think what would help is if he would crop off the left side a little bit, that white reflection down at the bottom left kind of pulls your eye down there.
I
think if you crop that out,
crop it out a bit.
it would certainly help the more focus on the center of the photograph versus down on the bottom.
Gotcha.
Just it kind of draws your eye down there, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I see why you'd say that. It didn't, I don't know, for some reason it didn't bother me, but now and you bring it up, I kind of get it. It kind of balances with, there's a similar up in the upper right corner is another section of, I assume it's reflection of clouds is what it is. But just thought this was a very, very interesting photograph. And you're right, there probably could be some cropping that might even make it a bit better, but it seems to speak well to the challenge. There we go. And this is Calvin Burgess. Calvin, you want to give us a little background on your image here?
Well, I had a couple that I had shot that didn't work out. So I started playing with this one, and this I could not take with my digital camera. When I took this with my digital camera, it came out very porous and very, I don't know, kind of flat. That's what I shot. It's one of my desk coasters. One of the coasters off my desk. I got a whole set of those.
Oh, that's
for a patio. So I looked at it. Okay, here I've got some repetitive patterns here on this little disc. So I shot that with my phone.
Really interesting.
Yeah, because my digital camera picked up too much of the porous detail, and this it's I don't know. It's kind of like some kind of a artificial stone on top. So I played with this for a couple of days and thought, I'm going for broke.
No, it's cool. It's definitely a cool pattern for sure. So the thing you actually shot is only because it's interesting in context, you wouldn't know, you know, if it's a stained glass window or there's no sense of scale. You know, there's no way to know how big that image is.
And what was interesting with that, I could play with that in color curves. And every time I played with the curves a little bit different, those darker portions in that thing came out a different tone, gave it a whole different look. I mean, it was fun to play with. Just to see what I can come up with. This one I like the best out of all of my playlists. So
and that's what I wound up with. Hold up the object again that you filmed. Is it color? Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's neat. No, that's cool. Nice job.
I thought it was a stained glass window.
Yeah, me too.
It does. It looks like that. So I thought, well, I'll play it and see what happens.
Yeah, that's really interesting. All right, let's see here. I want to move on to our next one here, which is Bill. You're there, right, Bill?
Yes.
Yeah, let me get full screen. So give me a little background on your photo.
That's some grassy areas out by Lenexa Lake. And on that particular, they're pretty good sized.
Mhm.
Half the size of a football field in areas, I suppose. But it was just really pretty that particular day. It's very light green. That's been sepia toned, but yeah, but I just love the the way the design of the grasses kind of melt together and really capture your eye. I think so.
I would agree. I think it looks really nice. I mean, you can look at this for a long time. It's the more I look at it, you keep seeing new shapes and patterns, but it's very pleasing. And it has a lot of depth because you know it's shot with a shallow depth of field. And so you've got these foregrounds that are sharp, sharp objects, and then it dissipates off into blurred backgrounds. But I really like it. Again, based on what you guys say the photo challenge for the month was. I think it's very, very fitting. And I do like the sepia, the tone you've given it. So it's not a full black and white. Is that right? Is there a little bit of
well, I mean, it's just brown tone or sepia tone.
Yeah, brown tone.
Yeah.
Some I meant to ask you guys, I was curious, like this one's a very good example to talk about, is I've noticed everybody's shooting in slightly different aspect ratios. And is there what is this as? Is this a perfect square aspect ratio?
No, I think that was cropped 8x10 in this particular case.
Okay, so you cropped the image.
Yeah, right.
To make this. Yeah, no, it's really nice. I mean, it's the kind of image that you would see, you could see professionally. I can't remember which one of the hotel chains, I think it's Hampton Inn, one of them. They have little nature photography all over the hotel. And this reminds me of that kind of thing that you would see. It's
right.
It's just pleasing. It's just pleasing to look at and captures your attention. Did you shoot quite a few frames when you were doing this? Did you shoot quite a few of these or?
Probably a dozen.
Uh-huh. And then this is the one you curated. This
one right.
Turned out the best.
Yes.
Very cool. No, it looks really good. Good job. And then let's see, we've got two more assigned ones here. And Tom Wedbush?
Yes.
Hello, Tom. So tell us about this. This is a very nice photo. Tell us about your photo here.
Well, we were going to a luau in Kauai, and on the way they have a kind of a nature, not a nature trail, but all sorts of animals on the way to the luau location. And we were on this tram, and as we approached the peacock flared its feathers, kind of get out of here, and so I didn't have a whole lot of time to set up. I just took, I think, maybe 2 shots, and that's all, because we were moving. So
really, you were moving when you got this shot?
Yeah, we weren't moving fast. It was slow, maybe 5 miles an hour through the nature park, if you will. But yeah, we were moving, and I was fortunate enough that it was fast enough speed to catch it without blurring.
I was going to say that's what's really impressive about it is it's quite sharp. I mean, it looks good and sharp. And again, kind of like the grass image, I think what really makes this work is that you let the patterns go right off the edges of the frame. If you had framed it wider and we saw the whole shape of the peacock, sure, it'd be a pretty shot of a peacock, but it wouldn't have that same interest as what it is. And because what's really wild, if you think about it, if you take your hand, if you crop the peacock's body out of this shot, you almost wouldn't know what it is that you're looking at. I mean, it's very abstract. And in fact, the more I look at it, it's really wild now I look at it. If you notice the circular patterns occurring around the peacock's body in the feathers, it's like there's line after line of circular pattern going on. It's the kind of thing you can really look at quite a while. There's a ton of detail in this shot. And I assume, so what's interesting is the peacock's head and body's in focus, and so is the plume. So do you happen to remember, were you, well, it was outdoors, so you probably had a pretty good depth of field, I guess.
I had a telephoto that I shoot with. It was, 28 to 300 or whatever. I just happened to hit it just right. So.
Well, yeah, definitely very well executed photo. Especially if you tell me you're moving at all is amazing, because
yeah, it was slow, but yeah.
There's lots of repeating patterns in here. Not only the circular pattern on the feathers, but like Mike was saying, the feathers right behind his head. There's
yeah,
a bunch of repeating patterns there, and then the lines of the base, the stalks of the feather, I guess is what those are, kind of in that radial pattern. Pattern
exactly.
there, and then the individual hairs on the feathers, those are a repeating pattern too. So there's a
Yeah,
bunch
that's
of different
very-
repeating patterns in here. I really like it.
I do too. I think it's a really good photo. It really, would be amazing if you think about, can you imagine a photo like this blown up to 3 or 4 feet on a wall? It would be very impressive to look at.
Yeah,
And
it's pretty cool in color too.
Well, that's what I was about to ask you. I said, I bet it is cool in color, because obviously peacocks are beautiful
Yes.
birds.
Yeah,
But very good job. Great job.
thank you.
Okay, we got one more here. And this is Mr. Putman.
Yep.
So tell us about your photo.
Well, this is just some parts at a machine shop, or my company I work for, we just acquired.
Mhm.
And just happened to be walking through the shop to take some pictures to put on the website, and I saw these kind of repeating patterns, and decided I would limit the depth of field a little bit to kind of add a little more interest to it.
Absolutely. No, and again, very well executed photo. It's the kind of photo, honestly, if you were to do a photo essay of the place or marketing photos of a machine shop or something, I mean, it's that kind of caliber of photo. I mean, it looks very professional. It looks really nice. And it is interesting in the industrial space. Industrial spaces are so cool to shoot in. What would have been neat, of course, they probably wouldn't have liked it, is if you were able to take the paperwork out of the pipes, but probably not a good idea to start touching their stuff.
Yeah.
But no,
I like the texture on the side, the real rough texture, and then of course, what they had done there at this place is the real smooth machine face there, and the center bore. They had machined all that out. I just like the contrast between that nice, smooth, highly machined surface against the rough contrast of, or the rough surface on the outside.
Yeah. Very cool. No, nice job. A lot of nice textures in there too. It looks good. So let me see. Let me double check. I think that's all of the assigned. Is that correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So, what the part of this that I don't enjoy is the having to give a first, second, and third, because I think there's a lot of good photography, and like any judging of art or photography, etc., it becomes so subjective. It's so subjective. So I want to be careful. I want to commend everybody that entered into this category, but and it's interesting. I kind of predetermined what I thought, and I've been sitting here scribbling and marking out and changing order as we talk. That's kind of why I wanted to hear from the photographers. And so I have my first, second, and third. I want to start with 3. And number 3 is, and let me make sure I got these in order. Yep. Is The Grass is Swaying. And giving this a 3rd place, again, I think very, very well executed. Really speaks to the challenge. And I would not think it would be out of place if this was hanging on a wall in a public space or in a lobby or a hotel. It would be perfectly appropriate. So very good job. And I'm sorry, the name of the person that did this again was
Yeah, Bill Schaff, yeah.
Bill. Good
Yeah.
job, Bill.
Thank you.
So this is my number 3, and then my number 2 pick is, let me make sure I go to the right thing here. Let's see here. I think this is it. Yeah. This is the one I was talking about earlier, this Dennis Lindell. I think he had a really good eye and I think one that you guys mentioned, somebody mentioned cropping it a bit. I see that, and that makes sense, but I still think this is a very well executed photo.
Yeah.
It's taking something very ordinary that happens every day and turning it into art. It's just like just having a good eye. And I think it's the variety of textures in this all combined together. There's so many layers to this. You could almost think it was manipulated in Photoshop or something, but it's not. It's one frame, I'm sure. But it's interesting how many layers it has going on, because you've got the vertical patterns and reflections occurring of what I assume are elements and windows, I guess, that are moving vertically through the top of the frame. And then you got all these different directions, but altogether, I just find it a very, very, very interesting photograph. And then last but not least is the lucky guy that went to Hawaii, first place. I think this, more than this, truly speaks to the challenge. And thank you, Mother Nature put a good hand in that, but you did a perfect job of shooting it. I mean, again, it's very well composed. The fact that you let it go off the edges of the frame, I think really makes a difference. The fact it's in black and white, I think really actually helps just make it this unusual pattern, but a very, very well executed and very pleasing photo. Again, a photo that I could see would have commercial value, a photo like this. So good job. And you picked the right island to go to. What a beautiful, beautiful place.
Yeah, Kauai is gorgeous.
Oh my Lord. It's incredible. Incredible. Well, good job to all you guys. That was great. And then any questions before we move on to open category?
Bill, I do have a question for you. How exactly do you do like a sepia tone like photo?
Spencer, I've got the Nik software that's I plug into my Lightroom. So I'll go into Silver Effects Pro 3, I think is what I have. And they have a choice of toning in there. And this is one of the choices.
Okay.
This happens to be the medium. They have 3 different sepia tone strengths. This is the medium, or the center one, if you will. Yeah, if you'll go into DxO software.
DxO, huh, interesting.
DxO software, it's a German company.
Huh.
And they're the ones that bought the rights to Nik software. And Nik used to be the one that made the standalone, or the plugins for Photoshop and Lightroom. So, but you can purchase this Silver Effects Pro. It might be 3 or version 4 now. I'm not really sure, but from them.
Okay.
Very cool. All right, we're going to jump over into the open category. I assume the open category is as stated, is there's no rule or so forth. It's just the aesthetics of some good photographs.
Yeah, correct.
So we'll just go in order here. The first one up is Spencer.
Once again, this is another song name, Blinded by the Light. We all know that one.
Sure.
But so this picture was taken also in the West Bottoms. And this was like a model and like photographer meetup. And I really enjoyed like the lens flare on the top. In the color version, I think it's like green. But and I really like the rim light on his hair.
You know, it's interesting. This is a very, very interesting photo for a variety of reasons. First question I have for you, were you using artificial lights or did you do all this with reflection or?
Actually, we did have a reflector.
Okay, so, but just a reflector, you weren't using electric flash or anything?
No.
So yeah, give me more background on this because I'm intrigued by this photo. So what is the background behind him? Is that the sky?
That is a building behind
A
him.
building.
Yeah.
Wow. And then, but there's no detail. I mean, you'd have no way of knowing. I mean, it's very dreamy kind of look. Here's what's interesting about it, and you can tell me how you achieve this. So obviously on the edges of his hair is intense backlight. And I'm glad that you're showing this because backlight for television purposes and movie making purposes, backlight is essential because TV and photography is no different. Television or photography is a two-dimensional art. I mean, we're looking at it on a flat screen. So the only way you have to give the sense of dimension and to separate things from the background, et cetera, is through how you handle light, you know, how you use light. And so you did a really good job. He is pulled away from that background. See, looking at this, I could think that he's on the edge of an abyss and that background's infinite because there's no detail in that background. Yet here this guy, then here's this intense backlight. And then ironically, there's also intense frontal light, but at a really good angle. Another little trick that you've managed to pull off in this photo is the dots in his eyes. You know, his eyes have little white dots in them. And, you know, as they say, which is absolutely true, typically when two humans look at each other, the first thing they do is they look at their eyes. We're attracted to people's eyes. And this photo pulls you directly to his eyes. And I think that's because of the dots and the white dots in his eyes. And then it's just really nicely modeled lighting. You know, it's not flat at all. It looks really cool. It doesn't look, I wouldn't say it looks natural, but it doesn't have to look natural, but it's just pleasing to look at. Another thing that this points out that's kind of interesting to share with you guys in the television world and the movie world and I think I mentioned this last time I did some judging, start looking at how things are lit, particularly humans, people, and 98% of the time, it's lit with what's either called an offside key or a dark side key. Other words, the side of the face closest to the lens is the dark side of the face. The part away from the lens, the other side of the face, is where the key light is hitting. Well, what's so interesting about that is it's what creates a lot of dimension. If the side of the face that's closest to the lens, if it's bright, what happens is the subject becomes flat. The subject will look flat. But what you've done here, I don't know if you intended to do it, but you have an offset, you have a dark side key going on. You can see see the cheekbone and the neck and under his hair on the frontal, you know, on his face. That's all in shadow, which is actually really good. But his right eye looking at him, which would be his left eye, his left eye is the side where the primary light is hitting. So I assume the reflector was off to
his left.
Yeah, to his left. But yeah, go ahead.
So if the reflector is on his right, it wouldn't look as pleasing.
No, it wouldn't look nearly as good because you just hit it on the head. If you took this exact same photo, but you moved the reflector over to his right, that means that the side of the face that's closest to the lens would all be lit up, and it would become flat. And with the way I can what we always say is it would look like the news crew shot it. It would look like the TV station shot it. Because when they shoot the news, they don't care about an offside key or this or that. All they care about is they got the person's face in focus. That's all they care about. They're shooting. And here's why they shoot the worst possible video you can, because guess where they put their light? Right on top of their camera. That is the worst place to have a light for photography, is on the camera. It's just not the place to have it, because it's providing straight on flat light. So you always want to get your light, which again, Spencer's a good example in your photo. You want to get your light 90 degrees from where the lens is. And this is a good example of the light sources are at an angle to where the lens is. And that's why you have such good shadowing. His nose, for example, if there wasn't dark shadows on the side of his nose, well, then his face would be flattened out. It wouldn't look the same. I remember early on in my career, oh my gosh, we've shot a lot of stuff over the years, but I remember a client, we were shooting a carpet commercials, and the client had an absolute aversion to shadows. They're like, there's a shadow. There's another shadow. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Yeah, there's shadows because that person's actually a three-dimensional being, and the light hits them and it makes shadows. And so the whole idea is shadows aren't bad. Shadows are not a bad thing. You need to manage the shadows. The shadows have to be managed. But shadows are that's half of photography. We spend as much time removing light as we do adding light. So when you're walking around with the still camera, the challenge becomes, even if you're just using a reflector, is knowing what angle, where to put that reflector versus where to put that camera. Or if you're using good old Mother Nature, if you're using the sun as your light source, how do you position your subject in relationship to the sun? The worst possible thing you can do if you're just using the sun is to have your subject, of course, look towards the sun. If you have the sun behind you, you got the camera and the sun's behind you and your subject's looking straight into the sun, they're probably going to squint. It's probably not going to be a very pleasant shot. And you completely flatten them out. Most of the time, if we're shooting outside and we have limited control over what we're doing, we either position the person so that the sun creates the backlight, just like this looks. You got this intense backlight. Use the sun to create the backlight or to create a good side light, but never straight on. We never want our camera in line with the sun because you'll just flatten out your photography.
Like the sun's like right here, the person's right here, and they're facing towards the camera. That's not ideal. Yeah,
you don't want the person having to look towards the sun. Number one, it's not.
No, I meant the other way. So
yeah. Like, say it again. I'm sorry.
So like the camera's right here, and then the person is facing the camera, and then the sun is right behind.
You can, like I say, you can use the sun as a backlight, which is good. In fact, I'll tell you a great way. All you need, sun and a big piece of foam core. And you use the sun as a backlight, and then you hold a piece of foam core out front to one side or the other of your subject, and it creates a really good fill light. So, just like what a reflector would do. We use foam core, white foam core. We use it all the time. It's cheap, it's lightweight, doesn't matter if you destroy it, and we use it all the time. And you go on big shoots, big DPs, shooting big national spots, they'll have a truck, they'll have 8 pieces of foam core on the truck, along with 1,000 other things. But some of the simplest items become the most useful tools. But yeah, very good photo, just from a standpoint of just the things going on in lighting in this photo are very interesting. All right, let's move on here. Tom. Mr. Tom, tell us about your photo.
Okay, there's an area down down St. Louis. It's called Lemp Park or Lemp area.
Mhm.
And Falstaff used to have a brewery down there. And I was just walking along, taking various shots down there, and I just saw this the logo on the side of the building was the old Falstaff Brewery or beer logo. So I thought it was a pretty nice shot to kind of
Really cool.
capture history.
Absolutely. I got to tell you a really funny backstory because when I saw this photo, I automatically knew where it was. We got hired years ago. We were shooting for A&E. We were shooting a series called Strange, which was about spooky stories or strange stories. And we spent the night in the Lemp Mansion. So
yes.
Did you tour the Lemp by chance, the Lemp Mansion?
No, just walking around down there, but yeah, I know where it is. Yes.
So what's funny is the background is so in that it's the exact spot where you were in the Lemp Mansion. They're the family that founded Falstaff, and life was good until this guy moved in down the street, and his last name was Bush.
Bush, yes.
Justice Bush moved into the neighborhood, and the Falstaff family was not very happy after that.
Yeah.
And a lot of suicides and murders and all kinds of crazy stuff happened within the Lemp family. And so we have cameras also, and we're with these ghost searcher guys that had their crazy, I don't even know what you call it, their radar guns trying to find ghosts. And they locked us in this place. They handed us the key and they say, okay, you guys, you got the place to yourself for the night. And then we'll come back and check on you in the morning. So we spent the whole night with these ghost hunters.
Oh, great.
In the Lemp Mansion. So that's my backstory to your photo.
I'll be darned.
But that area where you're filming is so cool. I hope they save all that architecture because it's incredible.
I do too.
It's incredible. And it's a really nicely executed photo too. I mean, again, you've got good, there's just really nice detail in the middle because of the light. If the light was just hitting this thing straight on, it wouldn't feel as good. But you've got nice contrast and definition going on because of the angle the light's hitting it. But this is one too that fits in the pattern category as well. It has some very interesting patterns going on. And man, the more I look at it, it's like that is crazy brickwork.
Yes, isn't it though?
Oh my Lord.
Gorgeous the way they did the arches.
Oh, it's so cool.
I mean, I don't think we have tradespeople that can do that anymore.
No.
Yeah, that's incredible. But yeah, for any of you that haven't been there, the Lemp Brewery area, it's right by, real close to Anheuser-Busch, actually.
It's right down the street.
Huge, this huge area of brick buildings that I think a lot of them are empty, aren't they?
Yes.
I certainly hope they don't tear it down. It's amazing. It's truly amazing. Good job there.
Thank you.
All right, what do we have here? Okay, cool. Let's get this up. And I'm sorry, I missed the name again. What was the name of this person? This is
Calvin.
Calvin, sorry. That's who it is.
That's all right.
Yeah, Calvin, tell us about your photo here.
This is the burial ground at the Osawatomie State Hospital out
Amazing.
down there in Osawatomie.
That's about
all these stones only have numbers. There's no name, no range of years. I was able to go online a couple of years ago, and I found a complete inventory of this field.
Wow.
There's everybody from small children to very aged adults buried. When I was walking through, I only found about 3 stones that actually had a name and a birth and a death date on them. That was it. The rest of them are just little concrete stones with a number.
Wow, that is so interesting. Ironically, where I'm at now, I'm about 9 miles from Osawatomie. I'm in Miami County.
Right. Now, this is on the highway. You come off of 69 highway and you take I forget the highway spur, off to back to the west towards the hospital. And this is just right on the north side of the highway.
Wow. I need to go check it out. I don't think I've ever seen it. That's amazing. I thought it was a Civil War cemetery.
No, no, this is the old state hospital cemetery. Because the state hospital is just beyond those trees over, maybe about another half a mile.
Gotcha. It's a very pretty photo. It's very nicely done. I like the composition of the four big dark trees and then balanced out by the big tree on the left end of the photograph. And obviously something that really I think makes a big difference in this photo is the shape, the aspect ratio. Can you tell us what inspired you to, how big was this photo before you went in cropping?
Not much bigger. It was taller. It was almost a square format when I shot it. But I decided to crop down the top because top of the trees didn't tell anything. In the foreground was just grass. That didn't really tell anything. I wanted to kind of draw attention to all these rows of stones. And I forget how far back they go. You can see the end of the line there of each one of these rows. They go back quite a ways. And I can't remember now how many graves there are in this field, but it was really kind of a sad place to visit because these people were basically forgotten. They were left at the hands of the whoever was doing what at the state hospital. If they died, that's where they took them over here and just buried them. Pretty unceremoniously.
While you were down there filming, did you happen to run across an old dilapidated bridge called?
Oh yes, I've got photos of that bridge.
Yeah, Asylum Bridge.
Yes, and also have the back history on those three names that are on that bridge.
Huh. Wow.
I forget what they are at this point, but the three names were three county commissioners who appropriated the funds to have the bridge put across the river.
Wow.
And then once they did that, they decided, oh, we want our names on that bridge.
Well, of course they
like, okay, politician. But yeah, and I actually used that bridge, I think last month. We did some repetitive patterns. I think I used it as an open, but the bridge you can no longer walk across it because it's a wooden deck. A lot of it's gone.
Right.
Yeah, that's a very interesting place down there. I did have permission with a guided tour. The security down there was going to take me through the old state hospital to let me photograph the inside of the building.
Did you do it?
And about 2 weeks after I talked to him, COVID hit.
Oh boy.
I ain't been back. So I need to get hold of the guy. Yeah. See if he let me go through the hospital. I've told him, I said, I just want to document what's there. I'm not there to exploit the place or anybody. I don't want to pick pictures of people. I actually found some old photographs of the grounds of that hospital when it was first built. That was one of the most elaborate and beautiful places that Kansas had at the time. I mean, they had sunken gardens, they had reflection pools. It's beautiful, but all that's gone to just, kind of gone by the wayside now. It's just all fallen into ruin.
What's interesting about this photo too is you wouldn't know. It almost looks like an old time photo. There's nothing, what I kind of like about it, there's nothing modern in it. Right. And again, it almost could be like an archival, like an old Civil War photo. And also just the tone of the photo. Was it a cloudy day?
Yes, it was. It was overcast.
Because which kind of works. I mean, typically you would think, oh, I want good contrast and this and that, but there's something about this that works, that it's very it's almost like an impression. It's like pastel, even it's black and white, but it feels like a soft tones. It's soft tones. It's not harsh. It's not harsh edges. It would be a totally different photo if it was super sunny outside. I'm sure it could be a very interesting photo, but I like almost the kind of monochrome feel to it, that it had.
Yeah, there was a couple of more rows on the right side back, I believe, from where I shot this, and I was trying to keep it from coming out too flat. That was the thing I was trying to.
Well, no, what's interesting is I'd say from the tonality of it, it's flat, but the composition fixes that because you've got these vanishing points happening. And then actually what's interesting is right at the back edge of the field is a bright white line of light across the back of the field. So there is some very interesting separation going on. It's a good photo.
Thank you.
Let's see where we're at here. James Schultz. James here?
No, he's
No.
not here tonight.
James isn't here. This is a really nice photo. I thought this was actually James could have entered this in the pattern contest. But no, this is a cool photo. I like the in this particular case, I really like the contrast that's occurring between at the bottom of the photo, the water is dark. At the top of the photo, the water is white. You know, it's almost white. And then you got these cool lily pad patterns. Man, I tell you, Mother Nature just makes the best subjects. That's for darn sure. But very, very interesting photo, very abstract. You know, again, a photo that I could see this photo hanging in a hotel lobby somewhere for sure. I mean,
Wow.
there's something pleasing about it, you know, just to look at it. Very, very pleasing photo.
It also is calming as well. You
Yeah.
like
It really-
especially with the rain too.
Uh-huh. That it is. Oh, with the what? I'm sorry, with the
With the rain. Looks
yeah.
like
Looks
there's
like rain spots
raindrops.
on the lily pads.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I didn't even, yeah, you're right. Wow. There's a lot of details in this photo. Very cool. Very nice photo. Good stuff. And this is Bill Shop. I think you're here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Bill, tell us about this. Is a couple things, but I want to hear from you first before I say too much.
Okay. That's a photo of I guess they're seed pods. They were apparently flowers earlier in the spring, but that's taken in Little Jerusalem National Park.
Oh yeah, I've never been there. I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful place. Very
I wanna
fun to
go there.
shoot.
How far is that from Kansas City?
It's 5 hours.
Okay. Okay. I want to check it out.
And it's got a film noir. Is that how you pronounce that
Uh-huh.
word?
That is.
Preset added to it to give it that distinctive look. You
Oh,
know,
I love the treatment to it.
grainy,
Yeah.
you know, with the looks like an old time piece of film that somebody's just
Exactly.
contact printed, and so yeah,
Very cool. Is that the moon?
it is the moon. Yeah. I don't know why it's moraying on my screen anyway, but yeah. But that's
Oh,
the
it is?
moon in the
No,
background.
it's not mooring here. I don't know. It's
Okay.
fine. It's very clear and clean here.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I love the dark silhouette treatment that you've put on this, you know, the around the edges, like you said, just giving it that
Right.
old-timey look. I mean, that adds a lot of character to the photo. And it's cool. It's very pleasing. It's a very good composition too. Tell me this, did you shoot this was this a vertical photo or did you crop this?
No, it was vertical. Yeah.
It's pretty close to what you shot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, very nice. Looks good.
Thank you.
Dennis Lindell. And Dennis is not here, right?
That's correct.
No,
Yeah.
This is the lily pad man again, is that right? Did he do?
no, he did the brick
Oh, yeah.
roadway that you really liked.
Right, gotcha. Yeah, no, that's interesting. Now that you point that out, that it's the same photographer.
Yeah.
I get it. It kind of makes sense. He has a style.
Right. Right.
Oh, and it's finding order out of disorder in nature.
Mhm.
You know, this, if anything, I'd say there's so much going on in this photo, but if you really look at it, it's actually really well balanced. You know, it's like you've got it's very interesting. You got all these reflections of these tree trunks that are creating these strong vertical lines through the photo. And it's I guess the only thing I would say is it's like I don't know where to land exactly. that maybe you don't need to, but it's like I'm not real sure where my attention should go. But and I'm sorry, I should have brought this full screen. There we go. And it might be due to that, again, shooting. Here's the funny thing: you're shooting black and white in the woods where there's lots and lots of grass, et cetera, et cetera. It's hard to not be overwhelmed by patterns.
Right.
I mean, I think that's what this points out. What's your guys' take on this?
A little busy.
Yeah, I think you're right. A little bit busy, but
I think the border also just like also fades into the photo too, almost with
Yeah.
all the chaos.
Gotcha. Yeah, makes sense. All right, let's move on here to Stoudemire. Is that
Yep.
right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad you're here because I was very interested in this photo. So tell us about this photo.
Well, I was sitting out in the parking lot waiting for my wife to get, this is down at the church parking lot, waiting for my wife to come out. All of a sudden it started raining. So I thought, hey, that's kind of cool. I like the distortion. So took a picture of it. This is
pretty cool.
This is
I
actually half of
like
the picture.
It's so cool. It's a really, really interesting photo. I mean, it's particularly like, look at what the patterns on the sides of the car down below. It's so abstract. It's fascinating. I didn't know if you purposely like manipulated the image, but this is just your eye, right? You just caught this at the right time.
Yep, Mother Nature.
Yeah, very, very cool. Very cool.
Bill, if you would crop that sky out of there, it really
Oh.
brings focus to the cars.
Oh yeah, that's
The sky
interesting.
is just so bright, but that is a cool photo, though, the way it distorts the image. That is pretty neat. That sky is so bright.
Yeah.
I'm curious, did you shoot numerous takes of this at the time, or?
No, I actually only one shot because I wasn't sure of what I had. And this is really about half the picture.
Wow.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. So yeah, tell us what did you crop out?
Well, there were cars on the other side, kind of at the same angle that you got here, heading the other direction. But they were white cars, and so it kind of messed things up.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, there's a white house in the background.
Yeah, it's very cool. I think I like the idea of possibly cropping the top, but I don't know. It also, the white to me though, it helps balance, the darkness below it. To me, it kind of helps balance it as well. So I just like the fact that it's such a abstract image out of an ordinary thing. You shot cars in a parking lot on a rainy day and turned it into, a piece of art.
Thanks.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Thank you.
And then we have one more here.
Huh.
And this is Travis, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I really like this. Tell us about your photo here.
So this is at the Winsteads at what is that, Knoll and 435. And
Yeah.
just went in there and sat down, and I just happened to be looking up at the ceiling. I was like, that looks like a spaceship. So
Yeah.
Wow.
I got out I took this with my iPhone, and then
Really?
and then processed it in Lightroom.
It's really cool.
But
What's
yeah,
the band?
interesting shapes and interesting lighting. The way the lighting kind of fades out. I really like the lighting on it mainly. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool.
What's the band along the bottom? That white band, is that a recess in the ceiling, or?
Yeah, it's kind of a recess area all the way around the whole restaurant.
Mhm.
Huh.
So
What I like what you've done that I think is really cool is You know, the funny thing, you take the part out of the middle, you take the light fixture from the middle, and then it looked like it's a UFO or something.
Right.
Yeah,
That's why I titled it Mothership.
exactly. I mean, it's a very cool photo. Again, it's seeing some, it's kind of like the last photo we looked at, but in this case, it's very clean and very symmetrical and just looks very architectural. You know, it has a really, really good look to it. And iPhones are amazing. And that execution of it's great. I mean, the focus is perfect and a great example of just light and shadow. I mean, if you turn the lights off on that lamp, there'd be nothing there. I mean, it's just so interesting. Curious too, did you shoot several of these or was this a one hit wonder?
I took a couple of them. It took some playing around to get it level and get it symmetric and making sure everything was lined up correctly. So, but yeah, I took several.
Very
and there's
cool.
a couple of these lights in there, and I took I took a picture of one of them and then turned around and took a picture of the other one. I like this one the best. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. I mean, I'm sure you guys already know this because you're photographers, but you know, I've met National Geographic photographers before, and they've told me that it is not unusual on a 10-day shooting trip or a week shooting trip that they'd shoot between 10 and 25,000 shots in one trip. And then from those 20 some thousand shots, it gets curated down to a photo essay of maybe 10 or 12 shots. Yeah. And so, especially in this day and age where, you know, digital doesn't cost anything compared to film, you had to be thinking about your pocketbook when you're shooting frames of film, but now you can shoot 1,000 images and it costs the same as shooting 5. But it's never a bad thing to experiment and just shoot. If you get interested in a little topic, is cover it as many different ways as you can, you know. But very cool photo there, Travis. It's great. Like it a lot.
Hey, Travis.
Yeah.
When I first looked at it, I thought that was one of the ceiling fixtures over in Municipal Auditorium. Because I'm thinking don't they have some fixtures like that over in that building?
I believe they do. I've always wanted to go in that building and spend like a whole afternoon in there shooting stuff.
Oh my God, yeah. The architecture in there is gorgeous. I have been in that place for years.
Yeah.
That's a Winstead's light. I like that.
No, that's neat. I'm reviewing back through some of these photos just to refresh my memory here.
Sure.
Because it's interesting too, is, you know, I have predetermined ideas, but then when I hear commentary from the photographers, it changes it, you know. I mean, it's just really interesting. Give me just a minute here.
Sure, take your time.
Here. All righty. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go 3, 2, 1. And man, I'll tell you, this is tough because I wish there could be more, because I really liked a whole bunch of these photos. I thought were really good. But I'm going to give number 3 to Rainy Day. And I'd say the reason why is just having the wherewithal to say, you know what, I'm sitting in this car and it's raining outside and I'm waiting for my wife. I'm going to pick up my camera and shoot a picture. And you shot a very unusual picture. I mean, it's just, whether it can be cropped differently or this or that, that's another thing. Sure, it could be, but on its own merit, it is a fascinating picture. I mean, it looks like you put some sort of bizarre filter in front of the lens, which you did, which was called rain. But it's so cool. I love what it did, and I love the image that you captured. So that's my number 3. And then in a totally different end of the spectrum there, I have to say the mothership. I think this is a super cool photo. Again, a photo, I could just picture this blown up to 3 or 4 feet, black and white photo on a wall, and it's a piece of art. It's art. Yet, it's a lamp. It's an Art Deco lamp in a burger joint. But again, just knowing, hey, I'm gonna pick up my phone and I'm gonna take a picture of this unusual lamp because I can see this very cool variation in lighting going on, and I'm gonna turn it into a piece of art. And what's really bizarre now, I keep looking at this, honestly, if you, it's crazy. If you painted out the 2 small lights, the white ones, if you painted those lights out and you got rid of that band at the bottom, I swear it looked like it came from War of the Worlds or something. It'd be like, I mean, it is truly looks like sci-fi, but very, very well done. A good eye to capture that. So that's my number 2. And then due to a whole bunch of things going on, I am giving my number 1 to Blinded by the Light, Spencer Carey. And Spencer, I'm just really impressed. I want to go full screen again here. It's always funny. People say, somebody does something great, and then people say, "Did you mean to do that?" Well, of course you did. That's why you did it. You had a vision of what you're doing. So depending on how much control you had, I don't know, but you had a lot of good things happen. And again, that's why I'm saying, like, for example, if you guys just isolate the hand above the forehead and look at the lighting on the hand, I mean, it looks like lighting in a painting. I mean, it looks like a Da Vinci, or Caravaggio could have painted that hand. I mean, and again, the shadowing on the face, keep that idea in mind when you're shooting portraits, the offside key. Make sure the side of the face towards the camera is dark and the other side is light, and it will instantly create more dimension in the photos. And again, this photo could be used very well as examples of lighting examples. Look at the shoulder on the left side of the photo, just a really good outline of light along the edges. If you took away those sources, this photo would be nothing. I mean, what makes this photo is the light. The light is what makes it. And the fact that there's a building back there is just bizarre, because there's nothing there to tell you it's a building. I mean, in fact, I'm curious, Spencer, how far was the subject from the building?
I think he was maybe like 50 feet away. I did slightly enhance the flare with a
sure.
like a filter.
Sure.
But this was just with like a 50 millimeter lens.
So I'm curious, this doesn't seem like the kind of photo where you just shot one of these and you were done. Were you like walking about shooting a variety of things with a model?
Yeah.
You had this model that you're getting different things with?
Well, thankfully I did have someone hold the reflector for me. Normally I don't.
And is there any importance to the person? Is this a friend or an acquaintance?
I was looking on Instagram trying to find like other people to meet with, like other photographers, because like it's mainly just me just doing my own thing. And I just found this group and I said, okay, I don't have really anything going on Saturday evening, so why not? I'll go to this group.
And was this shot in the West Bottoms?
Yeah.
That is so cool, man.
Actually, now that after thinking about this photo, I did try the new Lightroom blur effect on this. To try to blur out the background, because I think it was like 4.5
Great.
like f-stop.
It's awesome because the subject is ultra sharp, and again, I just use it as a bunch of little pointers on lighting technique because we try to accomplish it all the time in video production, is the white dots in his eyes. I mean, that instantly draws you to his eyes because you've got little hot spots in his eyes, which is very, very good. If I was going to be picky, but this is more of an art direction thing, but it doesn't matter in the fact that you're just going out shooting photos, but it would have been even better if he didn't have any verbiage on his shirt. Like if
Actually, that was the theme because it was like a Halloween shoot, and they were NASA.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. But yeah, very interesting. And again, well, first place. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Keep up your
Congratulations.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good job, Spence.
Thanks.
keep shooting. And actually, if you're living West Bottoms, our production company's in the Crossroads, so we're not.
Oh,
far.
really?
Yeah, we're at 18th and 1810 Charlotte is where we're located. But no, I find I'm very impressed by several things. With number one, what I'm impressed is not tied to monetary gain or anything of the sort. Here's a bunch of people get together and talk about photography and take the time to shoot and enjoy and appreciate photography. And courting, it sounds like that's been going on since 1938. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And especially in this high-tech day and age we live in now, where everything is now. It's really nice to look at photography where you've locked in a moment, and just,
Sure.
I really like it. I commend all you guys for doing that. So good stuff for sure. I mean, again, it's not like I have advice other than be very cognizant of when you're out shooting in the real world, just be very cognizant of what angle is my key light. If you're outdoors, your key light is the sun. If you're indoors, your key light could be one of many things. But just be very aware of where the light is coming from, and then take a moment and just walk around your subject until just see how it changes by what angle you're shooting that subject at. Because again, if the funny thing is we say, once you know all the rules, then you can break them. But typically, if you have your light too close to your camera, you tend to flatten out your subject. So it's just get that light 90 degrees away, get it in an angle from where the lens is, and you'll tend to have better, because here's what's cool. Again, it's a 2D, it's a two-dimensional art. The end result is a flat photograph, and it's all about the lighting and composition, et cetera. But the lighting is just what separates it and creates depth, et cetera. Something else in closing to that they teach in film school or talk about in motion picture work and TV work, particularly TV work. And the American, as much as we all bitch and moan about American television, it's actually at the top of the art too in the world. American television is incredibly well crafted. What I mean by that is all these drama series and et cetera. And it's because they shoot them with the care of shooting a movie. And something they do that, because they're dealing with a TV screen, when you go to a movie and watch a big movie, you have the advantage of a giant screen. Well, when you watch television, you're dealing with a much smaller screen. So they deal a lot with the Z depth. You always hear about the X and Y axis of composition, the width and the height, which obviously plays a big part in anything that you compose. But the part people forget about is Z depth. And Z depth is the depth going into the frame. And so here, let me see if some of these photos would be a good example. Actually, yes, Calvin's would be. Here, let me go, I do have to say, man, I wanted to give this an award too. I love this photo. I love it, but unfortunately only allowed 3. I'd like to get 2 ties, would be great. But
Yeah,
this,
that's fine.
this photo is a really good example of Z depth. And what I mean by that is there's not just one layer of stuff going on. Now, what would really give this Z depth? So look at this picture right now. Now picture if this was motion picture and we're shooting a documentary and we have a person standing in the foreground, film from say the chest up, talking to us about this cemetery. All of a sudden you've got a lot of depth. You've got your foreground action of your subject, then you've got this middle ground of action, and then you have these trees, and then you have another layer of hills, and then way back there you can kind of see there's a building back there. But this shot, even though it's interesting that you've stretched it out, you're really using the wide axis of this thing. This photo also has a lot of Z depth to it. And that's something to keep in mind. It's as simple as just trying to put objects in the foreground of your photos so that maybe the thing in the very foreground is completely out of focus, but it helps to create the illusion of space, of depth. And you do that by stacking things up, stacking action up. I was going to see if there's any other that would take a quick peek at that. See what we got here real quick. That one would not do it. That was a great photo too. Yeah, this one kind of does this photo here, but it's a little tougher because there's a whole lot going on, but there's a lot of depth in this shot too. Just a lot of layers going on.
I think with was it Dennis's or that had the depth?
You know what? The lily pad one actually. That's got this photo has really nice depth going on and the illusion of space, because just by the fact that the subjects in the foreground are bigger than the ones in the background, it definitely gives it some depth. But just keep in mind to kind of when it makes sense is you can stack things up, you can stack action to so all right. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Anything else or any questions or?
No, I don't have any. I appreciate you doing this for us, Mike. We
Thank
really
you,
enjoyed
Mike.
your critique from last year and enjoyed this one. This is very good, very informative.
I appreciate it. No, well, thank you, and keep shooting.
A lot of good information, Mike. Thank you very much.
You
Thank you,
betcha.
Mike.
And if you need any assistance in Kauai, you just give me a call, okay? And
Okay.
Thanks again.
great to meet you all. Thank you, guys.
All
Take
righty,
care.
thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Mike.